I want to start off this morning by showing you guys some numbers. Far right terrorism grows in the West as death from attacks hit 5 year low. Why is this important? I want you guys to see the framing here. And I want you guys to think about what is associated with far right, with alt right, with neo Nazis, and so on and so forth. This is going to be a little disturbing for the more left wing of you guys that follow me and watch my content. Um, the reason being, there's going to be some framing here that I want to point out and show you guys before I go into the main segment. And I don't know how to say this other than it's setting up a narrative that the alt right and the right in total is a major problem. When you think about the right, when you think about conservatives, what do you think of? You think of conservative values, you think of traditional Christian values, moral values, so on and so forth. You also probably think of, when I think of the right and conservatives, I think of stodgy business people and suits and ties and Ben Shapiro, right? That's what I think of when I think of the right. And for the most part, that's not really true anymore. The window and the terminology for what is right and is left is just the left has went so far left that they're shifting around to alt right. Number one, and number two, they've pushed the window so far that even people like me, I don't think I would be Republican per se in the traditional sense. I believe in a lot of left wing values, a lot of things that you guys comment on and tell me I'm crazy about constantly, like wanting universal health care, wanting UBI, wanting uh, wanting to see a reform in our immigration system, wanting justice reform, legalize marijuana, boys and girls. I have all of these positions, and I temper them, of course, with a base in reality. Like I don't know that UBI can happen in reality. I don't know that we can afford to pay for universal health care. There's a lot of talk, and that guy Nimicry I talked to several weeks ago now talked about MTT, some sort of modern financial theory, wherein we just pay for things, we just print money, and then forgive ourselves of that accrued debt. And I just don't see it. Like, I don't see that being a viable option. Maybe I'm wrong. Obviously, I've been wrong about things before. I will be wrong about things in the future. I don't have a crystal ball. I am not. I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the world. Um, I just don't see how it's possible. But I like those positions. I like helping people. Maybe I'm just soft hearted. I don't know. But as we go through this, I want to do this particular segment first, and there's two very important points that comes up. They say, but still, we understand about 13,800 people died in terrorist attacks in 2019. So, although it seems to be declining at the moment, it's still a serious issue. Then we go down here. Far right attacks are up 250% over 5 years. Okay, so we know in 2019, not 2020 yet, but in 2019, there's 13,800 people who died in terrorist attacks in total. Between 2011, let's see, that's riots, never mind. Let's go down here. Far right groups, including neo Nazis, ultranationalists, and white supremacists, responsible for a total of 89 deaths in 2019. Admittedly, it's only a low number, but we have a 250% increase in attacks by the far right in the last 5 years. 51 of those deaths occurred in a single incident when a gunman opened fire in two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. The report said over the past 50 years there have been 13 far-right terrorist attacks that had each killed more than 10 people. Mr. Keelia said that while the rise of jihadists was a new phenomenon that peaked in 2014 and had still been declining, terrorism was related around left and right terrorism groups. Figure 4.10. Distribution of far-right incidents and deaths from terrorism by country, 2002 to 2019. Incidents, 332. Deaths, 286. I want you guys to think about that. In 17 years, far-right groups and groups that are being framed, I hate using that word repeatedly, but being framed as far-right are only responsible for less than 300 deaths, 286 deaths. Let's just go with the incidents, 332 incidents. There's 13,800 people who died from terrorist incidents in 2019 in the globe. Why is the far right such a problem? Why is there such a hyper focus on it? I think it's because they have to have an enemy. I think it's because they're trying to phase out anything that doesn't agree with them, including things that may not agree with them but don't oppose them either, like, say, Orthodox Jews having a wedding. $15,000 fine after secret Hasidic wedding draws thousands of guests. This was amazingly irresponsible, Mayor Bill de Blasio said. Basically, without reading everything, the wedding was meticulously planned, and so were efforts to conceal it from the authorities, who said the organizers would be fined $15,000 for violating public health restrictions. Thousands of Orthodox Jews gathered to celebrate a wedding inside a cavernous hall in Brooklyn's Williamsburg neighborhood earlier this month. This was written today. You can see the picture. Thousands of people. I mean, that doesn't look like thousands, but it could be. Why is this such a big deal? Well, it's a Jewish wedding. They shouldn't have had the wedding, blah, blah, blah. They're getting a $15,000 fine. Meanwhile, everybody partying in the streets, everybody without masks, celebrating, drinking. Look at this. November 8th, 2020. Look at this. Look at all these people out here. Oh, we've just got, there's tons of people right there. Tons of people. No masks, tons of people. You mean to tell me that this is all okay? Okay. Well, you know what? They was celebrating. They was happy. But is this okay? I guarantee you that even if you can argue that, oh, well, they took snapshots of smaller things that was distributed throughout the entirety of New York City. Here you go. See? Massive Black Lives Matter protest marches across Brooklyn Bridge. Fills the bridge. Large crowds and what look like hundreds of cyclists crossed over Brooklyn Bridge as part of a BLM protest Saturday afternoon. Many marching could be seen wearing yellow, something that's been seen by the wall of moms protesting in Portland, Oregon. Look at this. Look at this. You want to tell me that's hundreds? That looks like thousands to me. If that picture of the Jewish wedding was thousands, then this is 100% thousands. How many people are stacked in right there? Did these people, did the organizers of this protest get a fine? No. Why? Because they are on the correct side. They're not right wing. They're not conservative. There's no argument to be made here. Once you pack people in that close, masks no longer matter. When you're chanting, it's been put out there. When you're chanting and yelling extremely loud and breathing heavy, cloth and surgical masks do not matter. And you can see people in the neck gaiters. Those don't matter at all. Those don't do anything. They're telling you not to wear those. There is a shift attempting to happen in this nation, and anything even moderate, anyone positioned moderate, anyone positioned libertarian will be considered right wing. And anyone with traditional values is going to be considered alt right. Be careful out there, boys and girls. Pay attention to what's going on. And I'll leave you with this thought. BLM, Antifa, massive protests, parties that are pro-Biden parties. None of this results in a fine. None of this results in any sort of backlash whatsoever. It's celebrated by the media. But a wedding by Orthodox Jews is fined. If you open your business, you will be fined. If you go to the grocery store without a mask, you will be fined. And as we saw yesterday, if you want to wait on vaccinating your kids to see how this new coronavirus shakes out, how it affects people, you're probably going to be fined. And if you're not fined, the school system, in D.C. at least, but I expect that's going to spread, will do it for you. Things are getting dystopian out there. Stock up. Prepare yourselves. There's going to be more lockdowns coming. It's going to happen, which means there's going to be another rush on the stores. So the time to start stockpiling stuff is now. A little bit at a time. Don't go super overboard. Don't blow your budget and put yourself in a financial hole. But be prepared. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.